Hi, I'm Georgina Joe Russell, and I'm the author of the book What Would Love Say, which is a channel piece of work, a step by step guide to understanding your internal dialogue. And today I'm going to be chatting with the award winning writer Paula Love Clark. She's written 5 books and she's won many awards for her work so far. So we're going to be talking about her personal experience of reading What Would Love Say, how it's expanded her understanding of the voice of fear and the voice of love, how she's now applying this new wisdom into her own life, and more importantly, the clear benefits that she's seeing in herself. So I hope you enjoy these little chats that I'm having with the readers. If you do, please do subscribe to my YouTube channel so that way you'll receive notification of when I upload something new for you to listen to. Enjoy. Hey, my lovely. Thank you so much for being here today on my very first chat about the book, What Would Love Say? It's just an absolute pleasure to have you here. And I want to give everyone a chance to get to know you a little bit. To be honest with you, I've had to make a whole list of your achievements because there have been so many. I think we've known each other for about 9 years now. But the list of the things that you've been up to since we first met is just colossal. You're an award-winning author. You've written 5 books. Woohoo! The 7 traits of a highly successful parent, which is amazing. An ode to woman, which is your beautiful poetry book, which is one that you gave me here. And then the follow-up was a woman's ode to man, which is again poetry. You've done the diary of a lockdown mum, and then your insanely powerful book Pyramid, which is I think your most recent, which is really the end game for humanity or the beginning, which is right up my street. I wanted to kind of say a little bit about how we met and then just really talk about your experience of What Would Love Say. I'm obviously trying to encourage as many people as I can to invest in the book and read the words and, you know, listen to the audio. But yeah, I think we met in about 2015, and we met,
2016.
was it
2016.
2016? Was it really? Yeah,
Yeah.
we met in a pub.
Yeah.
At our friend's birthday party, and I
Right.
remember at the time I was doing a lot of mediumship stuff, and you came up to me and asked for kind of an informal reading, which I did for you. I can't remember it. I'd had quite a few glasses of wine by then, but I do have a sense that it was quite useful.
Yeah.
And we've stayed in contact pretty much since, haven't we? I think I've facilitated 2 QHHT sessions for you, and we share stuff online. And you've recently invested in What Would Love Say, and I wanted to chat to find out from somebody like you who's achieved so much. You know, you're a single mum of 3, you're a successful woman in business, you've got your new online digital creation, Succeed with Paula, you're a makeup artist, you do lots of inner work, like you're an absolute force of nature. What was it that drew you to read or listen to? I think you began listening to What Would Love Say. What drew you in?
Okay. So I've just had a meeting with someone and we were talking about success. So what does success mean to you? Right? Such a massive question. So society tells us that being successful means that you've got money in the bank, you have a beautiful house, you're probably married, you're in a relationship, your kids are doing well, and maybe you've got a lovely car on the drive. You've got a drive, you've got a private drive, you have lovely holidays, and you can afford to go and eat out, as many times as you want. That's success in today's world. And also maybe you have something to show for success, whether it's a title, or like maybe you're a doctor or something, or you're a CEO or a vice president of something, or you've written books, etc. And that's how people in society define success. On paper, I am extremely successful. Within when lockdown came and stole everything, ate it all up, ate everything I'd built up, I didn't go wallowing. I got up at 6:30 in the morning. I prayed, I meditated, I did a gratitude journal. And then I went for a walk by myself at 8 o'clock every single morning. And then I came back and I then did exercise for an hour and a half. And then I would write until 11 o'clock. And then I would have breakfast. So on paper, I am very successful. But what happened was, I've had a very testing 6 months, beginning from the end of August. I broke my wrist. I think I just broke my thumb last night. Again, that's why I'm wearing this. I broke my wrist playing tennis. So then I had an investor with a business I was setting up called the Creative Single Mum, pulled the plug on me. Then my car failed. I needed a new car. Everything I seemed to touch turned to mud, right? So up until the end of August, I was, I'd just written my book. I published my 5th book, and, I was selling art, and, things were going great. It was a beautiful summer, and, I was feeling really happy. And one thing after the other, after the other, after the other, my whole world seemed to keep falling apart. And there were so many things that made me very unconfident about my situation at the time. And I was on my hands and knees middle of January asking God a way to show me how to make X amount, because I wasn't, with all the financial stuff that was going on, other financial things were happening. It was literally, I'd lost my Midas touch. And so I was on my hands and knees praying out there, God, the universe, whoever listens, because we don't know, saying, please show me a way I can make X amount a month. And God responded in a way, God, the universe, however, or I responded, however we look at it, showed me a way in which I could do that. A way I never, ever thought was my way. A way that I was very fearful of. Now, this is where your book comes in. I was fearful of taking that step because it wasn't a comfortable step for me to take. In fact, it was one of the worst steps you could ask me to take, other than selling my feet, right? So, oh my body, that were never going to happen. So I set about on this digital creative journey. I am telling you, it was like climbing Mount Everest in a bikini with flip-flops on, right? I just struggled. Incredibly, really difficult thing for me to do because I'm single. My daughter lives with me, is like me, she's like tech disabled, I call myself, in that you show me that I just don't understand. I can't see how it works. So the left side of my brain had been so dormant by the bully of should we call it the over exuberance of my right side brain, which is like, look, I can write a novel in 6 weeks. Look how clever I am. And look, every time I do something, I create something amazing out of it, and I seem to be successful. The left side's going, yeah, you carry on, right? You carry on, you do your thing. And suddenly I'm going, wake up, I need you. And you go, and it's going, I'm not engaged, man, I'm just chill. And I'm going, no, wake up now. And so I had this panic. I'm going to fail, imposter syndrome. I can't do this. And suddenly, everything I'd written about, the 7 traits of a highly successful single parent, I was doing. I negative self-talk, negative mindset, victim mindset, imposter syndrome, so negative, stuck in this fear thing. It's working for everyone else. It's not going to work for me. I'm going to fail, right?
Yeah.
Your book, when I saw that you'd advertised, obviously I know that you've written a book.
Yeah.
And you put out oh, I'd like to gift everyone with a copy of my audio book. And I was like, oh, I listened to that. 2 hours, it's just over 2 hours long, I think. I'm about 2/3 the way through my second listening of it. And I gifted my daughter the hard copy of the book, right? And I found that the mindset I was in, leading because of what happened to me and the situation I was in, setting up this new business, I was stuck in fear. I was in that place where the bird was on my shoulder, picking up all the time, going, "You're not good enough. You can't do it. You're going to fail. Look, you failed before."
Yeah.
No. That's not who the world sees when they think of Paula Love Clark. They don't think of me as a failure, right? But the bird on my shoulder was going, "You're not going to be able to do it. You're not going to be able to," constantly attacking me. And so even after reading the book, I recognize the voice of the bird in me a lot at the moment. And I'm watching everyone else's story, and you know what they say about comparison being the thief of dreams. And so I found that what your book allowed me to do was to step back and say, is this true?
Yeah.
Is this right?
Mm.
Whose voice is that?
Mm.
Yeah. Is that the voice of the bringer or the bird?
Yeah.
The bringer is bringing me peace,
Mm.
harmony, love, joy. And I have all the answers inside me.
Yeah.
It's already in me. So the extraction process is what's painful,
Yeah.
pulling it out of me. It doesn't mean that the bird is right. It just means that I have to bring it out. And so the bringer is right.
Mm. Yeah.
Because I asked the
Have,
way and they brought me the way,
yeah.
right?
Yeah. Have you been able to look at your internal dialogue that way before? Have you been able to kind of decipher those two different parts of us that exist? You know, the energy, understanding what those two opposites are. Is that a piece of work that you've ever done before?
I understand it,
Mm.
but I've never done it with
Yeah.
myself
Yeah.
because of all the self-development I've done and writing about it as well. When I do my walk and talks, I talk about it.
Mm.
But when you have to walk the walk, it's so much more difficult because
Mm.
you tell yourself you already know the answers, but actually, you still have to go through the process yourself.
Mm.
And I
Yeah.
can recognize which voice now that I didn't recognize before. I now recognize it's the bird talking
Yeah.
and not the bringer.
So how have you seen that have an impact on you? I mean, you've only been kind of learning about this for the last couple of weeks in the sense of what would love say, but how can you see that having an impact on Paula Love Clark today and what you're doing?
So last night I had a bit of a meltdown because my thumb
Mm.
because I think I broke my thumb last night, and so I went into victim mode last night, right?
Yeah.
So today, on reflection of where I was last night, because it was the last straw, it's the last thing I needed to happen to me, right? Fell into the trap of listening to the bird's voice.
Mm.
So on reflection today, I realize I have a choice every single day about which voice I listen to.
Yeah.
Right? The voice of the bringer is so much more peaceful and
Mm.
so much kinder and so much more loving than the voice of the bird, which is attack, 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 attack.
Yeah. Mm.
And
Yeah.
each time I do respond, but the voice of the bird really attacked me last night.
Yeah.
Really interesting.
So how did you
Yeah.
work with that in that moment when you were going through that difficult thing? I mean, it's a physical thing that had happened to you. How did you take care of yourself?
I don't think I did. I burst into, no, I didn't. But I don't cry very often, self-pity tears. But
Mm.
last night I was sobbing my heart out. And I think I was grieving for everything I'd lost.
Mm.
All, and it was a release that needed to come, to be honest.
Mm.
Needed to let go of so much. And let go and let God is a term that in the rooms, and I've got close family and friends who are in the rooms, they're going the addiction side, and let go, let God is always something that they talk about.
Yeah.
And it's been something that has just come to me the last 2 weeks. And I probably, since I've been reading your book, let go and let God. Whatever that God means to anyone, it's like trust the process.
Yeah.
Trust yourself, trust your intuition,
Mm.
be more authentically you. Don't judge yourself. Don't be so harsh. Don't let the bird have free reign in your life.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think that's where I am today is a better place than where I was yesterday before this happened, because I needed to let go of all the disappointments and all that anger and frustration and victim feeling. And I needed to really, really be in it to let go of it.
Yeah.
Does that
Yeah.
make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's the truth, isn't it? When we go through these moments that are really, really challenging, we're not always able to do the work in that moment. But the fact that we've already invested in it, the fact that we've learnt about it, the fact that we understand it, I do feel it helps us to move more quickly into doing the work than perhaps we would have done previously. And, when you're in the moment and you're upset, really all you can do is be in the moment and allow yourself to be upset. And then when you feel ready, you can go back to picking up the pieces and maybe reflecting on what happened to you, how you were feeling, how you navigated it, and how to take care of yourself after the event, which I think is also really important. I'm wondering how you work with the bridge with
Oh,
forgiveness.
yeah. The bridge.
Mm.
Um, let's just say the bridge is a place in process.
Mm.
Yeah, I find the bridge harder.
Do you find that more tough?
Yeah, and for the reasons why is that I sometimes can be an all or nothing girl. So
Yeah.
I'm either in that, like I have a friend who used to describe me as you're the kind of person who gets an idea. I'm a Sagittarius as well, so I'm very Sagittarius. I don't know if you,
Mhm.
anyway, I am. I'm very, very Sagittarius. I get in a balloon and I'm off with an idea.
Yeah.
And she said, I'm the person at the end holding onto the ropes to do, because you've got an idea, you've jumped in the balloon and off you've gone, and you're like, yeah, I'm going to conquer the world. I want to do this and
Yeah.
So I'm that person.
Yeah.
So the bridge for me is the grounding place that I have to learn to be a little bit more centered within myself.
Mm.
So the bird is there, the bringer's there, and sometimes I'm, oh yeah, I get that's God. God's told me to do, and off I go. Or the bird is like, no, 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 and like I'm in that place. So
Yeah.
bridge is the place where I need to be a little bit more. Is this right?
Yeah,
Is this
absolutely. Yeah. I mean,
right?
the bridge is basically time out, if you like.
I need
It's
to go
the
down more.
pause. Yeah, it's the pause between the two states. And it's the place that naturally you probably took yourself to last night, when you were crying, where you were upset, because in that in that moment you gave yourself time to experience the pain, and to reflect on what you'd been through, and like you said, what you've lost. And so, kind of without knowing it, you have used the bridge because you didn't move into anger and fear, and you didn't go directly to everything's fine and I'm moving forward. You did take that time out, so naturally you're using that. And I do think it's useful, especially for people like you who are really super high energy, which is what you are. You're an achiever. Um, and I've noticed for myself, I'm like you. I'm an all or nothing kind of person, but actually learning to use the bridge has been really helpful for me, to just know that, okay, I don't have to spiral from one extreme to the other, which has been a pattern of behavior for me. You know, I'm a fixer, I want to get stuff sorted. So if it
Yeah.
starts to go wrong, then I'll start going into this extreme activity of, I'm going to fix this and I'm going to put it right. But
Yeah.
now I do let myself take those breaths, and I do say, okay, let's review what's going on here. You know, let's make a sensible choice about how we're going to move forward, rather than just rushing into the next way of, I don't know, pulling the plug on one thing and then inventing and investing in another thing. So yeah, it seems like you're using that already. How did you find kind of reading the examples? Because obviously there's examples in the book, we're offered chances to really see from the human perspective how to use this, how to actually listen to the dialogue that's happening in our mind. And then there's all of the examples. One example is, you know, you're having an argument with a partner and you become frustrated and upset by what your partner's saying to you, and the dialogue in your mind at the time is, you know, how dare you speak to me like this, how dare you put me in this position, how dare you not listen to me. And all of that anger and fear that the bird, that voice brings up when we're in that conflict. And then obviously there's the examples of how to listen to the bringer, and how to sort of soothe yourself, if you like, how to be that more reasoning voice and say, it's okay, you know, you don't have to be upset in this moment. This person is available to you always, and just see that you can bring love into the situation, and you can be your own best friend, and you can really look at the other option available to you in this moment. I'm wondering how you kind of found those examples.
Oh no, I really liked the examples, and then you went back to each example:
Yeah.
the bird, the bird, the bringer, and the bridge.
Mm.
And so you could clearly, I mean, bearing in mind that I haven't read the book, I've listened to it
Yeah.
on my
Yeah.
dog walks. So I was visualizing each of the scenarios.
Were
And then,
you?
yeah, so I'm very visual anyway, so I could see it playing out, each one.
Yeah.
And so I think there are two things for me, is like, whose voice is this?
Mm.
That's what I ask now. I've started asking, whose voice is this? Is this a voice of fear or a voice of love?
Yeah.
And quite often when I feel angry or frustrated or let down, I'm like, is this a voice of fear or a voice of love?
Mm.
I'm finding myself, since the book, asking myself constantly, is this coming from fear or is it coming from love?
Mm.
And and so in that respect, I think it's really helpful. And
Mm.
if I'm not sure, I think, well, that's where I need to go and park it at the bridge.
Yeah. How do you feel about the information that was offered, that the fear in all of us, in every single human being, is in fact the fear of not being loved? How does that sit with you?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Okay, so I'm being very authentic here, and I know it's
Mm.
recorded, but I never really felt like I fitted into my family. My mum loved me, and I know my dad loved me before he died, but my dad was he was a bully and aggressive and angry,
Mm.
and not very kind. He wasn't a very kind dad, and he wasn't a very kind husband. Um, and then he died when I was 12, and so my mum was my person in the family, really, to be honest. I had a younger sister, but come when she was 15 and I was 18, my angry alcoholic stepfather made her and I homeless.
Mm.
And my life traumatically changed. And, instead of my planned journey, I went off somewhere, it totally kind of like knocked me off. But like the Grinch was going, I don't know if you've seen the film The Grinch. He was meant to be going somewhere and then it knocks him and he goes that way and the other baby goes that way. It was a bit like that. That's how my journey has happened like that quite a lot. And then I married someone who, truthfully, I don't know if we were meant to be together, but then I don't know what my path was destined to be. But I have 3 lovely children. But I can honestly say that I don't think I felt seen in the marriage.
Yeah.
Whether that's loved, I don't know. That's not for me to answer, for someone else.
Mm-hmm.
And I truly don't think I've been truly loved since.
Mm-hmm.
So there is in my life a sense of I have to love myself.
Yeah.
And almost like this pressure on me to get it right all the time.
Mm.
And so I'm very susceptible to self-criticism.
Mm.
I want to get it right. I want to be as perfect a human being as I can be.
Yeah.
And we can't always do that.
Mm.
And so I sometimes I am filled with self-love holes because I'm trying to fill spaces that other people maybe should have filled. Because my mum died nearly 24 years ago, so she hasn't been there. And so there hasn't been another person to fill that gap.
Yeah.
So I think I'm trying to plug in the holes that are left by other people that should have had those holes covered.
Yeah.
Parent,
Yeah.
partner. And so when I feel a lack somewhere, to me, it feels like I've left a gaping hole.
Mm.
So the person who has to love me more than anyone is me.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And you've mentioned kind of God a couple of times since we've been talking. And for me, you know, that is the place that I'll go to when I'm feeling, I guess, confused or chaotic, or as though I just need something more than maybe what I'm getting at that point in time. I'll always do, you know, bring the God love in. How do you work with God in your everyday life?
Good question. I ultimately know I'm loved by God.
Yeah.
I have conversations direct with him,
Mm.
which sounds crazy maybe, but I do. Quite often we sit on a ledge overlooking the world and we chat. When I've been going there more, thankfully, and sitting on that ledge a lot more over the last 2 weeks. Since I've been listening to the book, I don't know, and sitting and having chats about where I'm at, where I'm going, what I need to do to be at more peace within myself. And I find, as crazy it sounds, I find it like there's one, like I know God has my back.
Yeah.
Reverse God, my guides. I know my mum has my back too. I have spirit animals, I'm regularly in communication with. I don't care what anyone thinks, but this is how it is for me,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And so I have this deep spiritual connection, probably more with God than I do with other than my family, with other people, because the last 4 years have been incredibly challenging for to know who we are as people.
Mm.
And quite often when I do my walk and talks, I keep saying, and I do believe it's a God-given message that I give. We have to know who we are. So I truly believe that we're all on a soul journey. That this is crazy soul time, right? But a necessary one for our evolution. Whether it's the evolution of humankind or for ourselves. I don't know all the answers. I can just feel it, guess it. But our own evolution is so key.
Yeah.
But to do that, to really, really evolve, we have to know who we are.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think the distraction of the last 4 years are there to stop us doing that inner work, and to have that connection with Source, with God, and to kind of break that down. And so we instead of meditating, we pick up the phone quite often.
Mm.
I've done it myself. And then, think I'm just going to check the time. And then half an hour later, that's your meditation time. You're scrolling on TikTok or Facebook or WhatsApp or Twitter, whatever you're on.
Mm.
And that half an hour, your quiet time is gone because it's been eaten up by that distraction of the phone. And so many of us do it, right? Or we think we're going to go to bed by 10 because we're exhausted. We go to bed by 11:30 because we've been scrolling, right? And so it's undisciplined thinking, but it's also disconnecting us from our true self, wherever that is, whether it's with God, within ourselves.
Yeah.
We have this infinite pool of wisdom within inside us that we aren't tapping into, most of us. And it's an incredibly beautiful and resourceful place. And the last 4 years especially have been a place where we just don't go there. It's like having an oasis in our own body.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
we think, oh, we need a holiday, but actually the holiday is inside us.
Yeah.
We need
Absolutely.
to go inside it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Well, yeah, it's the bringer, it's the higher self, it's all of that love that we have available to us, isn't it? I know that I've recognized when I'm talking to other people all the time, obviously my clients a lot, but just friends and family. Now I understand the concept, I understand the theory of the voices, the energies, how they show up in our life. And I really see it in people so often now that, I almost want to say to strangers when I see an outburst or something, I'm like, oh my God, I need to explain to you about this. And obviously I don't, because that would be completely mental. But I'm wondering, Nick, whether, I know it's only been a couple of weeks, but have you recognized in other people, like when you're talking to them or when you're doing your work, can you now see how you can apply this theory and the concept to everything, yourself and all of the people around you? It's like for me, it's like a recipe. It's like I've been given this just wonderful secret key, and now I get it. And I see exactly how everything works. Is it the same for you?
yeah, definitely. But that does not mean I get it right. Even though I see it and I
Yeah.
know it, I think it's something you have to put into a process into your life every single day.
Yeah, I agree.
It's almost like a discipline to free yourself.
Yeah.
And I haven't done that work yet.
Yeah.
I saw it last night when I fell into the victim hole,
Yeah.
this little black hole.
Mm.
Um, it was so it's a thumb. I've got two thumbs. It's just an inconvenience. I couldn't even make my bed last night.
Yeah.
So I went to bed without my bed made, and it's just like another frustration. And I
Yeah.
started doing a big painting, a big wildflower painting, and I was like, because everything is more difficult when you've got this whatever. And then I was thinking, I know it's political, but then I was thinking of all those kids in Gaza who are being blown to pieces and starved, or all around the world where children are starving, or even in this country that kids are being beaten up and so on. And I'm like, it's a thumb. Come on, it's a thumb. And I've got a house and I've got a car and I can feed my kids. I've got running water. And it's like, get a grip.
So you did the gratitude bit. You did the gratitude piece, really.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
so I have to, it's a flipping of the mindset.
Yeah, I agree.
And the more you do the work. So, I mean, the book is always on one of my tabs on YouTube. It's always on one of my tabs. And because I know it's that, just like Jim Carrey's speech, I've listened to that probably 50 times.
Have you?
8 minutes. It's 8 minutes. Sometimes I listen to it through the hour to hour and a half dog walk. I will listen to it over and over and over and over again. And I will laugh always at the same bit, the convertible bit. I always laugh at the same bits. And so your book is on there so that I can just revisit the mindsets. It's a mindset thing.
Yeah. I agree with you. And that's kind of why I've got my little WhatsApp group. You know, everyone gets a reminder every morning, just a little recorded affirmation and some words from me, because I believe it's important. I think it's really important that we do sit down and give ourselves that time every day as a reminder, because we're reprogramming, right? You know, reprogramming doesn't just take place like that. It takes a certain amount of time for you to dedicate your attention to, you know, understanding this information. We've lived for so long without knowing it that, you know, we can't expect to just suddenly see these massive changes in our lives because we've read it once and we've picked it up. And I know I mean, I pick it up every single morning before I do my little posts to my group. And I feel like every time I read a part of it, I see it in a different way. I feel it in a different way. And the more I learn, the deeper the meaning of each sentence can be. You know, just one sentence, I read it and I'm like, wow, oh my God, that's deep. And I feel like sometimes perhaps you could pick up the book the first time and flick through it and think, oh yeah, okay, this is quite nice, this is not taxing, you know, this is easy to read. But then the more, for me anyway, the more I've sat and read it, the more I've seen there's so much meaning in every single sentence. Do you have a favorite part? I know you've been listening. Is there a favorite part for you?
Um, the bit that I go back to where I rewound quite a bit was just the voice of the bringer,
Yeah,
because it's comforting.
yeah,
It's that love. It's filling ourselves with love. I recognize the bird, and I almost don't want to listen to the bird part again, because obviously it challenges me and triggers me.
mm,
And that's good because that's the work. But what I crave is the voice of the bringer.
yeah,
And so for me, it's knowing that I'm love. So one of my affirmations I've said since I've learned to do affirmations in 2018 when I did mindset work, I am love, I am loved, and I am loving. And
mm,
I say that on a regular basis. And when I say I'm loving, I think about all the ones people I love on.
mm.
And it's usually my family, you know, usually my children. Um, I'm loved, and I'm loved by my family, but I'm loved, you
Yeah,
know,
mm,
and I am love. And so I think that's why I try to give out so much positivity all the time. I find it very, very hard to be angry at anyone. Someone cuts me up, I stick my tongue out at them. Like
do you?
my kids are like, keep going. I'm like, no, it's fine, it's whatever. And I find it very hard to be angry.
Mm. Well, that's good because that means that you're not listening to the bird because the bird is angry.
The bird that I recognize the bird as an angry voice.
Yeah,
He really has some issues, that bird. But
yeah, I agree.
what the bird does, it tells me that I'm not good enough, I'm going to fail. So it
Mm.
taps into the failure side. I think for me, it's the little nagging thing is, you're going to fail, you're going to fail, you're going to fail.
Do you feel like that's been your driving force though? Do you feel like to some degree that bird sitting on your shoulder telling you that you're not good enough, do you feel like that's been your driving force?
No, absolutely
No.
no. I can categorically say no.
Yeah.
My driving force is literally just to be me. So what drives me is exploring every inch of what I'm capable of doing.
Yeah.
And I can't help it because I
Yeah.
want to explore every single part of my being. Everything about me, I want to explore. Can I do that? Is that possible?
Mm.
And so the bird is like, you can't do that. You'll fail. So the bird is wrong.
Mm.
When the bird says, you can't do this, I can do it, it just doesn't mean it's easy.
Yeah. Yeah. And you've reinvented yourself many times, haven't you?
I
In
have.
all of the wearing all of these different hats that you wear. It is, you know, it's inspirational. It really is. I'm wondering, like, if What would you say to somebody right now who is struggling with their mindset, who is who needs to have it explained to them in a gentle way, in a soft way, but in a way that you can apply to your life so that it's practical, so that it's useful? I mean, we don't invest in doing any of this work unless it's going to actually be useful to us, do we? How would you, having known what you know now from the book, what kind of things would you say to somebody who's looking to learn what it is that you're learning and what the book offers us, really?
So I always say, is this coming from a place of love or
Yeah.
love
Mm,
or fear? Right? Am I feeling full of love in
mm,
this situation, or actually am I fearful?
yeah.
Then I would say listen to the book.
Mm,
Listen or read the book, right? If you listen, it's free. If you read it, you've always got it to flick back and forth to.
yeah.
That's the thing you can make with a physical book. You can pick it up, you can take it in your bag, you can take it with you. You can't always plug yourself in and listen to something. You can, if you're on a train journey, you can just flick through, you can highlight, you can get a pencil, pen, whatever, and you've got a book there that you can use as a reference.
Yeah.
Every single day, I've got books that I dip in and out of that I've had for years, so that's the good thing about a physical copy.
Yeah.
But if you don't have access or you only really listen to Audible, I would say listen to your book. So you can say, do I feel this? Am I going through this situation that's affected me, this challenge that I'm going through? Am I in a process of fear, or
Mm,
is this coming from a place of love?
yeah. Yeah.
I think 9 times out of 10, it would be fear for
Yeah.
whatever reason.
Yeah, yeah. And it is actually quite simple, isn't it? Don't you think that once you get when you can grasp the idea of just being able to listen and just even ask that simple question, like you've just said there, is this coming from a place of love or is this coming from a place of fear? Isn't that actually quite simple to apply to life? Isn't that something that we can do really, really easily by just having the intention of actually wanting to understand where something's coming from? I mean, I feel like everyone should read this, but I would say that because I've written it, but it
I
feels like
think everyone
it's something,
should read it.
yeah, it feels like it's for everyone, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And I know that you're saying that because this book was inspirationally given to you. So
Mm,
it's actually a gift given to you that you've done the hard work and you've actually written it and then went in and recorded it. So you're gifting it back out. So your gift to everyone, to the world, is the free book.
mm, yeah.
I think everyone should listen to this book or read the book because it's the voice of God.
Mm. Yeah, yeah, because you did it after you'd listened. You sent me a lovely message, and you said, "I can tell that's been channeled." What was it about it that you could really feel into that idea?
It was the voice. It was just the voice.
Yeah.
So it's very easy to listen to. The language isn't like complicated or difficult.
Mm,
Um, Quite often we can switch off because
yeah.
with this, it's so easy to listen to. And maybe, yeah, maybe there's a key mantra or something that you have to say, like, oh, I've forgotten, I'm out walking the dog, I can't remember, so I'll go back to that. Um, I could just tell because the voice is clear,
Mm,
the message is simple. The message is simple. Is this coming from a place of fear or a place of love?
mm,
Whose voice is this?
mm.
That's peckering away in my ear.
Yeah.
Who's got their arm around me and saying, I've got you?
Yeah.
Is it the
Yeah.
voice of the bird? No, I can't imagine the voice of the bird having
Yeah.
their arm around you and saying, I've got you.
Mm. Yeah.
Stabbing you in the back, maybe, but not doesn't have your back. And I just felt like, yeah, particularly what I was going through at that time, having set up a new business, going through so much, so much challenge over 5 months, and then 5.5 months, and then coming to reading the book from a place of questioning myself.
Yeah.
Where am I? What am I doing? What path am I taking? Why am I on this particular path? Finding it really difficult. And then having those two voices. Okay, right. Okay. So the reason why I'm questioning all the time is because I didn't believe or have faith that the voice that I heard was the voice of my subconscious, God, universe, the divine source, however we call it. And instead, all the fear side is coming from the voice of the bird saying, you won't make it.
Yeah.
And I've faced that before.
Yeah. It sounds like you found it at exactly the right time.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's the way.
That's the way it works. Yeah. Before we wrap up, I wanted to ask you, if today was your very last day of life, which fingers crossed it won't be, if it was, what's been your biggest takeaway from this whole experience, this multidimensional experience, this school that we're all in and a part of? What's been your biggest takeaway?
Okay. So I would say loving yourself is the most important thing you can do. Because the love that you pour into yourself somehow has to come out.
Yeah.
And the way that you will then impact the world around you, it's just like golden sunshine. And you may not see it straight away. You may see it in a smile in someone's face. You may see it in a I don't know, in the way your children 15 years later do something incredibly beautiful and you think, oh, that was the glitter that I put on.
Amazing. I love that. Thank you. Thank you, sweetheart. It's been an absolute joy. And just knowing that the book is in your hands, in your daughter's hands, it's in your ears, you're listening to it, you're sharing it, it's making a difference in your life. And for somebody like you who's already done so much work on yourself, to know that that was another gem, another tool in your toolbox of things that you can rely on when you're struggling, it just it fills my heart. Thank you so much, sweetheart.
Thank you for listening to the universe.
You're very welcome. Thank you. I really hope you've enjoyed my chat with Paula Love Clark today. And if you are someone who is currently investing in What Would Love Say, either listening to the audio or if you've been kind enough to buy the book and you'd like to get involved in my chats, if you want to share your experiences, how the growth from the information is having an impact on your life, then please do reach out, contact me. I'd absolutely love to have a chat with you. And please do stay with me, keep listening and enjoy all of these conversations that I'm having. I know that I'm enjoying them and I hope you listen to the next one. Lots of love as always.